Oh my goodness, look who's here! Good Housekeeping! You are in West Sussex. Come into my home, come and have a snoop around. I want to show you some of my favourite things. So you've now come into what we call our drawing room, and I don't know where the word drawing room comes from. Was it kind of in the 19th century and earlier where people would painting? I've got no idea. And just before Christmas I had a moment of, okay, we're going to make this over, and we had these horrible, on the windows behind us, this sort of plastic double glazing and all these cobwebs behind it and dead wasps and insects everywhere. And it didn't take much to turn it into this beautiful room, because what I love about this room in particular is the light. It's got the most incredible light. It's so peaceful, and my dad was an amazing collector of antiques. He had an extraordinary eye. So there's so many memories in this room of the antiques that he's collected, and I've been very, very fortunate in that way to have these exquisite pieces. And we had our first Christmas in here, and it had a massive tree, like a 10-foot tree. I had to get on a very tall step ladder to get the Christmas decorations up. And I was writing in this room. This is where I'd write, but now, because I'm so greedy, I'm always in the kitchen and food is nearer to hand. So yeah, that's where we are. Welcome to my drawing room. What I love about this house is that it feels like an extension of our family. It's kind of the sixth member of our family, and I feel like it's our protector. Where I grew up in Leicestershire, and like I said, my father had this amazing taste. It is similar in so much that I'm quite obsessed with symmetry. So there's a fireplace there where everything is quite symmetrical. The paintings are not so symmetrical, and if that's because my husband hung them and did them really badly. He's next door. So I would prefer it to be even more symmetrical, but it has that kind of faded elegance, I suppose. And I don't like things to be too perfect, which is how I grew up. You know, there were dogs coming and going. And it's kind of perfectly imperfect, this house. The first memory of my childhood home, I think, was the kitchen. Because I'm so greedy. I just remember that we had a Ray-Ban in the kitchen, and the house was always cold, and it was a sort of long, low house. It's called the Priory, but it was more like a farmhouse. And I'd go into the kitchen and feel that warmth. And we had this amazing lady who was like a surrogate mother to me, called Mrs. A. And she was always in there, and I loved being in her company. And it was all the senses that were evoked in that room. So the sense of smell, the sound of the kettle going, and just these amazing smells and sounds. And those two things probably evoke more memories than anything else. You know, I had a pony called Dandy, and he would be, in winter, he'd come in to a stable, and I treated him like a teddy bear. I had quite a complicated upbringing, because my mum was very severely bipolar, and I kind of think I really trusted animals more than I did people, because they were more reliable and they couldn't answer back. So I'd kind of create these conversations. I could give the pony Dandy speech. I could give him the power of speech, and he'd tell me that he loved me, and he'd ask me if I was hungry. And that was an extraordinary gift that this animal gave me. I do really enjoy cooking, and this is the room in the house that I feel is mine. It's the one place where I can tell everyone to get the hell out. It's got everything I need. You know, I could move into this room, and even I'd just do a flannel wash in the sink. That's fine. I don't need anything else in my life. If I could live one day when I'm old, we move into a house that just is a big kitchen and a couple of sofas, I'd be happy. This, I love. I don't know, I'm sure you've got things that your children have made. I mean, that, isn't it just literally the ugliest thing you've ever seen in your life? But it's made by Cece, my youngest daughter, and it is so practical, and the reason I still got it is obviously for sentimental reasons, but I use it, and I've used it. So she was about 5 when she made this. It's still here, and that's my kitchen roll. And I absolutely bloody love it. It's so sweet. So I've got twiglets, got my apple, all a bit untidy, but there are bigger battles to fight, aren't there? These are, this triptych, I think is the professional word, of my son when he was 6 months old. And I just love this look, the little dribble coming out, almost about to cry, and then that beautifully shaped head. And these were taken by an ex-boyfriend of mine called Edward Maplethorpe. Joe was his first little model when he was 6 months old. Aren't they so sweet? Look at him. Wish he was like that now. The Priory, again, and I'm just thinking about this now, it in the same way this house is the protector, the Priory was the protector too, because, you know, my poor mother, I'd never know how she was going to be from one day to the next, whether she was going to be on a high or a low. She tried to commit suicide multiple times. But the Priory was always constant. And, you know, yes, I was incredibly fortunate to have grown up in such privilege. You know, my father worked, we were never short of money. But emotionally, it was a different story. And I'm sure so many of you will identify with that. And in the same way as alcoholism, which, you know, I'm a recovering alcoholic, you know, it doesn't bypass people who have wealth and privilege. It can happen to anyone, and it happened to me. And that's the same way with, you know, having a difficult, troubled childhood. When I look back at my mum, you know, and I think about her, I've never felt any anger towards her. I've never felt any resentment. I only ever look at her with a huge amount of love, because I knew it was there, and I understood from a very young age that it wasn't her. It was the illness that was creating this emotional mayhem. And also, I'm actually very grateful for it, because I'd wake up in the morning, have anxiety, which I still do, but it allowed me and taught me to live in the present, because I never knew how each day was going to be. So I'd capture the moment and sit with it, because it's what I understood, it's how I coped. And so wind the movie forward today, it's how I lead my life. I never look back. The first time I looked back was writing my memoir. And there were so many moments of, oh my God, I can't believe that. Oh my God, because I'd wiped them from my mind, and not because they were bad or especially good, it's just how I am. And I'm not very worried about the future. So that is a tremendous gift to have been given, and for that I will always be grateful to my darling mum. So one of the things I always loved at the Priory was this painting, and it's of my mum, painted by my dad. And my dad, this is kind of quite an early one, so I think this must have been painted in the kind of 60s. Although there are very few strokes used, you know, it's painted in pastel. It is my mother. I mean, my father has captured my mother so well, and the way he's done the sheets and the light. And I have this by my bed, so when I wake up in the morning, it's the first thing I see. And it kind of also shows that despite my mum, she was very much a trophy wife for my dad. She was very, very beautiful, but you can see the tenderness of my dad towards her. And then I have a representation of my other parent. And that is my favourite Christmas bauble of Elton John. This is probably about 30 years old now, limited edition. And he's a man I've known for 40 years now. I just love it. It's so much fun. It's so joyous. It's, you know, I've got so many memories of our friendship, which are in this little bauble. Would I rather cook for friends or eat out? Definitely cook for friends, definitely. My kitchen cupboard must-haves are Bovril, butter, whole milk, Rude Health coconut drink, French mustard, cheese, Maltesers, Twiglets, salt and vinegar Snacker Jacks, peanuts, Dr. Carg spelt biscuits, hummus. Do you want me to stop? Oh, my best store cupboard recipe is a good one. Well, it's not totally store cupboard. You need some lamb, but then you need red currant jelly, rosemary, we have some growing in the garden, rosemary, garlic, soy sauce. You put it in a mixer and you go shh, and then you marinate the lamb chops in that delicious sauce. Fry them up, and then flash fry them to brown them, put them in the oven, and then serve that with homemade, ready-made mashed potato and French beans. Delicious. My favourite household task is probably building a fire. My least favourite household chore is putting duvet covers on a duvet. My favourite household gadget is without question a Vitamix. You could put a mini car in there and it would turn it into a smoothie. It's so powerful. I don't mind cleaning. I find it quite cathartic, and I think my best cleaning hack is associated with clothes, and that's so if an item of clothing gets a bad stain on it, I put a bit of toothpaste on it and takes it out. This, can you believe, is by my eldest daughter, Esme. And she did it quite a while ago, and it just is such a representative of her. You've got Kurt Cobain, Joey Essex, a few expletives, but it's this kind of creative madness that is Ez. And I just love all the colours, and it's so decorative and powerful. She's a good little artist, Ez. Okay, this is actually another of my favourite rooms. Look, my clothes. Bought that the other day, haven't worn it once. But I just love the colour of this wallpaper. And my mum would have loved this room too. She would have absolutely loved it. Sadly, she never got to see it. And then here I've got all Trinny's products. A bit untidy, but you know. And then this stuff, I have to actually just say, there's a friend of mine called Victoria Cater, and she makes the best scented candles that were downstairs, and now she's just done body lotion and bath gel, and I swear to God, it smells so amazing, and it goes on like velvet. But and that bath, it's just such a lovely feeling when you come in. This is like probably the only room in the house that is kind of interior designed, and I love it. And then if you follow me this way, just so you don't kind of get the wrong idea, my house is not perfect. So I'm just going to show you the reality. Okay, there's my favourite place in the room. Look, there's a bit of damp on the wall down at the end there, which is hidden by the painting of my mum. So that's where I wake up. All Steen's clothes getting, he's just come back from a work trip. Fly spray, because we get all those horrible, those sort of invasive little ladybird things. They come in, so they're sprayed. So it's, it's very shabby. A little bit chic, but mostly shabby.